The day I walked out to my alfalfa field and saw a 70-foot cell tower sprouting up from the earth like some kind of alien obelisk, I wasn't mad not yet. At first, I was confused, then mildly amused, then very, very concerned about the cows. They stood around it in a perfect circle, staring at the blinking red light at the top like it was the monolith from 2001, A Space Odyssey. There I stood in my pajama pants, coffee in hand, blinking right back. The kicker? I hadn't signed a thing. No permit, no lease, no heads up. Not even a damn postcard. It was just there. Like someone had spray-painted a corporate logo across my land and decided I wouldn't notice. It hit me all at once, either I was dreaming or someone had completely lost their damn mind. I made my way over to the crew installing tension cables into my soil. One of them looked up, smiled, and called out, "You must be from the HOA. Great spot you picked." I blinked. Internally, I went, "Oh, hell no." Rewind 48 hours and my life had been as steady as a sun-bleached fence post. I lived just outside the suburban sprawl, technically within the limits of a sleepy HOA-governed community called Cypress Bluffs. They prided themselves on beige paint, uniform lawns, and passive-aggressive newsletters. My place, however, was the outlierton acres of inherited farmland right on the edge of their carefully drawn border. I didn't farm seriously, not since my grandfather passed, but I kept the land in good shape out of respect. Grew a little alfalfa. Let the cows roam. Enjoyed the quiet. The HOA didn't bother me much, and I returned the favor. That changed the day Darlene Cotter became president. Picture someone who thinks Martha Stewart is too sloppy and Vladimir Putin not strict enough. That's Darlene. She once left a handwritten citation on my gate because my fence clashed with the neighborhood aesthetic. Never mind that my land wasn't in their jurisdiction. I'd retaliated by painting it lime green for a week. We had history. But I figured even she wouldn't be reckless enough to put a cell tower on land she didn't own. Apparently, I gave her too much credit. I approached the on-site supervisor that morning, a guy with a hard hat and a clip-on badge. He handed me a crumpled piece of paper like he was trying to pass off a fake hall pass in middle school. Community Access Agreement, it said at the top. It had my address on it, sure enough, but the name listed as landowner? Darlene Cotter. My name was nowhere on it. The signature looked like it had been scrawled by someone using a Sharpie mid-seizure. The effective date was yesterday. Where did you get this? I asked, voice calm but rising. From your HOA, he said, shifting uncomfortably. We were told this was part of the community green belt. This, I said, gesturing to the wide, fenced field around us, is private farmland. He raised his hands. Hey man, we're just doing the install. Permits are filed. We were told it's all legit. Permits filed under whose name? He mumbled it. HOA. That's when the real fury started building beneath my skin, not the kind that shouts or throws things. No, I'm the quiet type. But I used to negotiate lease agreements for high-profile commercial real estate clients before I ditched the city life. I know the law. I know contracts. And I know fraud when I see it. I told the crew to stop work immediately. When they hesitated, I smiled and said, I'll park my tractor in front of your supply truck. Your move. They paused construction. 2 hours later, I was back in my home office, pulling out the deed my grandfather had notarized decades ago. County stamped, parcel number included, crystal clear boundary lines. The HOA border? 5 feet past my mailbox. That tower? Square in the middle of my land. So I drove straight to the HOA clubhouse. There she was, Darlene Cotter, standing at a podium in her trademark tan pantsuit, giving a speech to a half-dozen residents about how the new tower would bring 5G harmony to Cypress Bluffs and usher us into the future. I waited until she finished, then walked up to her with the bogus agreement in one hand and a photo of the tower in the other. What is this? I asked. She smiled like I just handed her a bouquet. Oh, isn't it marvelous? It's going to increase property values. On my property. Oh, don't be silly, she chirped. It's all part of the community. You weren't using the field for anything important, were you? Besides, the lease only lasts 10 years. You lease land you don't own. She gave me a tight-lipped smile. Technically, it appears to be part of the green belt, and no one ever really uses it. You can't gatekeep nature, dear. I stared at her. Well, I said, I hope you like lawsuits. She blinked. Excuse me? Because you're about to be the star defendant in one. That night, I called my old buddy Calvin, now a real estate litigator in Austin. I sent him everything: the phony lease, photos, deed, parcel data. He called back in 5 minutes flat. "They're screwed," he said. "Play it cool. Let them dig the hole deeper. Then drop the hammer." So I did. While the HOA threw 5G themed mixers and Darlene published an article in the newsletter titled "Raising the Bar on Bars," I quietly prepped the ultimate checkmate. What they didn't know was that the telecom company had already signed a 10-year lease with the HOA and paid 2 years' rent up front. That tower was worth nearly $100,000 a year. None of it was coming to Myatt. The next morning, I stood on the edge of my field with a measuring wheel, a mug of coffee, and a grin that could crack granite. It was go time. I dug into my grandfather's archive: old surveys, title transfers, utility easements, all neatly stored in a binder labeled in case they try something stupid. Inside was the golden ticket, a certified deed with GPS coordinates filed 27 years ago. I took it to the county assessor's office. The clerk recognized me from the time I built a chicken coop modeled after the White House. She ran a comparison on the GIS land database, then whistled. "That tower," she said, "is dead center on your parcel." "Print it," I said. I left with a time-stamped, county-certified map Exhibit A. Then I visited the telecom company. A nervous-looking guy named Jared met me in the leasing office. I laid out the deed and map between us. "That tower? On my land." He stared. "We signed with the HOA. They don't own it." He stammered, "But they said." "I know what they said. That lease? It's void. You're trespassing. I could file an injunction, have the tower removed, and sue you for damages." He looked like a middle schooler caught plagiarizing a book report. "But," I said, "I don't want to do that. Mistakes happen. You'll just need to renegotiate with me. And I don't come cheap." That afternoon, their legal team called to schedule a meeting. Fast. Meanwhile, Darlene was throwing a 5G celebration at the clubhouse. The place was decked out like a bad tech startup: launch cupcakes shaped like signal bars, Wi-Fi themed streamers, an ice sculpture that looked vaguely like a melting router. I dropped by for fun. "Funny thing about that revenue," I said, strolling up to her with a plate of cheese cubes. She flinched. "Nick, how's the field?" "Great, especially now that it's generating radiation and legal leverage." She hissed through her teeth. "Is this really necessary?" "Yep," I said. "Especially since the telecom company isn't thrilled about being scammed into a lease with a fake landlord." Her smile died. "It was a misunderstanding." "No," I said. "It was fraud. And it's going to cost your community enhancement fund a lot more than you planned." Then I walked out. 2 days later, I signed a new lease with the telecom company, triple the HOA's original rate, plus back pay and an upfront bonus. They included clauses for maintenance, access, indemnity, and environmental responsibility. Calvin called, cackling. "Sign it," he said. "Then buy yourself something petty." I did. First, a new sign: private property. Tower operated with permission of actual owner. I underlined actual. Then I anonymously leaked the new lease terms to a few residents, ones already irritated with Darlene's spending habits. The neighborhood imploded. People wanted to know where the original lease money had gone. Why Darlene had signed anything without a vote. Emergency meetings were called. The HOA board fractured. I watched it all from my porch with a cold beer and binoculars. Then came the cherry on top. A letter from the telecom company, notifying the HOA they were filing a formal complaint for fraudulent misrepresentation. It circulated like wildfire. People called for audits. Darlene was accused of pocketing a consulting fee. Whether true or not, it didn't matter. Her reign was over. She resigned quietly at a somber town hall meeting. No applause. Just silence. Afterward, the board collapsed into chaos. A vote of no confidence passed. New leadership was elected. Dues were slashed. Rules were rewritten. People actually smiled again. As for me, my field was thriving. The cows stopped treating the tower like an alien god, and the checks rolled in every month, smooth as sweet tea. But the best part? One anonymous letter showed up. No return address. "Congrats on your tower, Nick. PSI moved to Fairwinds Acres. New HOA. New start. No signature. But I didn't need one. Some people never learn. I raised my glass to the blinking light overhead and smiled. Long live the signal.